Good day, everybody. This is Yin Yang in California with Morsels of a Thought number 1654. I've come to you this many days in a row to bring you morsels of a thought of wisdom from people who are wise. Henning Morales' Dirt Merchants is a true story, a triumph, a coming of age adventure. It's a novel. It's a Highwayman edition, and it is the Dirt Merchants. Okay, so we have been talking about this young man who, it's a true story, had to leave high school, somehow had to leave high school. And his father won't talk to him for doing that. And he lives at home still and he pays rent now. And he works at American Wholesalers. And he has now just made the biggest record of all time throughout the industry that has never been beaten in that industry to this day. Okay, and this happened in the 80s, 1980 something. I can't remember, 84 or 86, or what did he say? I can't remember what year it was supposed to be. Let's see, it was 19, July, 80, 1980, winter of 1980 to 1982. I think it was 1984. Um, but anyway, Friday, August 3rd, which would have been one of my two cousins' birthdays, Banda came in wearing a purple, simple sport coat. Not purple, simple. Okay, Yin Yang. This is Yin Yang in California, broadcasting Morsels of a Thought number 1654. I'm grounding myself right now as we speak. And I've come to you to bring you thoughts of wisdom, morsels of a thought of wisdom, because knowing the right thing to do is a form of wisdom, but the doing of it is called the act of virtue. So we want to bring virtue. My goal in this world is to bring virtue into the world. And this kid looks like he has got the wrong friends, but no, he's got good friends and he doesn't make the same mistakes as any of his friends makes. I mean, he doesn't do drugs, he's careful, he watches his money, he does good things for his friends. I mean, look at that. Okay, Banda, the big boss, came in wearing a simple sport coat. This is Friday, August 3rd. T-shirt and chinos. He looked like a darker version of Crockett from Miami Vice, sunglasses and all. I've done that. I used to look like that, even though. Good morning, Gina Potov. Good morning. The only thing missing was the black Ferrari Daytona. Even though Bando was Italian, he would never own an Italian car. Didn't trust him. He did have his vet with him that day and rode solo. He started at 11 sharp in the usual way, but his patented smile wasn't there. Everything else was meticulous. He began as the merch movers got down on one knee. Jim set the stage and Banda entered the room. Goal setting and going the extra mile, this is a title, are intimately close friends. Friends with benefits. Goal setting and going the extra mile. Let me ask you a question. You're at the train station. He's talking to the crowd. You go up to the counter and ask the guy behind the counter for a ticket. What do you think he's going to ask you? Where are you going? Right? What if you say, I don't know? Bando paused and looked around the room. He's going to look at you like you're a whack job and say, young man, how can I sell you a ticket if you don't know where you're going? Oh, I have to mention that they don't want too many women in this thing, except for, I mean, the salesmen are salesmen in this case, but the women, it's not like they discriminated. The women sort of weeded themselves out from the intensity at the time, and it wasn't a gender thing. It was just that it's kind of a gender thing, actually. But that's okay. I mean, we take on characteristics of each other's gender just to improve our own behavior and mindsets. But anyway, let's not talk about that. Let's talk about this. Okay, And then he says, I ask you the same question. Spencer, Teddy, Clay, and Cuddy, hitter leaders in this office, how can they help you get where you're going if you don't know where that is? If you don't know, then they definitely don't know. Know your outcome today. What are you going for? What do you think all these quotas and bets and card games and bonuses are? They're forced goal setting. What about sports? You got a goal line, a home run fence. This stuff is all around us. Some of you think that life's laws don't apply to you, which is why you're sitting around Saturday throwing stuff around, kicking the cat, taking it out on your parents, pissed off at the world because you don't have enough to take a girl to a decent restaurant on Saturday night. Yeah, you need to visualize the sale with your superior attitude, but you must also visualize your number. See yourself coming back with that number. There are 101 reasons to do it, and we can sit here all day and give you the metaphysical and scientific reasons why it works, but forget about that. Here's all you need to know. Men with goals succeed because they know where they're going. Miserable clerks, order takers, middle managers, and minimum wage idiots do not succeed because they let everyone else tell them what to do. You setting your goals is you telling you what to do. You can set your goal as high as you want. You determine your limits, no one else. Now, Jim will give you your quota, but the quota is his number. What's your number? Couple of guys in here got a quota of 65 and hit 110. Jim's number was 65. 110 was their number. Smoking. Amanda looked at Spencer in the eye and winked. Spencer returned the stare, smiling coyly. What's the difference in terms of the benefits? What would they have gotten if they'd hit Jim's number? Probably lost money, but hitting the number they set for themselves, they made over a G apiece and legend status. Remember the benefits. Friends with benefits. Now, let's talk about going the extra mile. Guys, it all ties in. What does it mean? Depends on the day. There are some days where you mule it just to hit your quota. There are other days where there aren't any dry periods and you run out of merch by 3. On the days you struggle, guys, hit your quota, then reach for another sale. That will give you the confidence for the next day. Keep moving till you do. That's the day you come back late just for the confidence, not for the money. On the easy days, chalk it up to one of those things, a reward for sucking wind on the hard days. But for the rest of the time, 90% of the time where you have a normal up and down day, hit your goal, then hit one more. Could a 3 or 4 piece drop would be a screwdriver set could be a 3 or 4 piece drop, could be a screwdriver set, doesn't matter. 3 or 4 piece drop means that this one customer buys 3 sets or one customer buys 4 pieces. They call it a drop. 3 or 4 piece drop. That could be okay. Let me put it this way. We're doing Morsels of a Thought of Wisdom. We're reading Highwayman Edition of the Dirt Merchants by Henning Morales. I can't pronounce that. It is Morsels of a Thought number 1654. I want you to get some wisdom, avoid the pitfalls. Okay. Could be the difference between 8 and 12 cards in the card game. Could be the difference between a $200 bonus and a $100 bonus. That extra half hour, maybe. How do you think guys can become worth twice as much as the next guy? It's not working twice as hard. It's going the extra mile. That extra little mile, that extra little time you spend means double the money. That little extra push. What are the benefits? Double the benefits, double the fun, double the money, double the bragging rights in the pit the next day. Benefits, guys, friends with benefits. Last but not least, consistently goal setting. Then exceeding those goals creates a habit that will make you push for this every day and blow those weekly minimums out of the water. Those habits will serve you well, fellas, as you attack bigger challenges in this life than moving merch and making a buck. This habit will change your life and ensure your destiny. Before the guys could catch their breath or get their applause going, Vanda was out the door. Right. So what he's saying here, he must have said at least 1,500 times because this author remembers every word. And there's a reason he remembers every word. It's because the guy has done it over and over again and encouraged the young men, to go out and sell their merch. Now, chapter 25. I remember Jeep. Saturday, August 4th. Hold on a second. I remember Jeep. What the hell? I'd have to say, Saturday, August 4th. A new batch of vets were developing at the office in Lodi. Teddy out of Tenafly, Clay out of Hackensack, and fourth. Let me think. How many times is that? 33, 89, 89, 87, 86. I think it's 1986. I think it's 1986. The reason I think so is that August 4th is on a Monday. Anyway. Okay. Saturday, August 4th. A new batch of vets were developing at the office in Lodi. Teddy out of Tenafly, Clay out of Hackensack, Neiman from Clifton, Timmy from Garfield, DeMaio out of Palisades Park, Gonzalez Gonzo out of Paramus, Bernici and Rocco, both out of Maywood, and Jimmy Lee from Fort Lee, the only Asian guy in the company. The harsh winter had been tough on this group, but gave them thick skin. As soon as March rolled around, these guys started making some money, and they witnessed the record shattered soon thereafter. By experiencing the excitement of that day, their belief systems had strengthened, and they didn't buy into the neg excuse makers outlook. This negative. This group was easier for Spencer to deal with than some of the guys that had been around longer. Some of the older vets had been there for 2 years or more, but because they kept sliding up and down the chart, they knew they weren't getting promoted, at least not anytime soon. So were a bit bitter. The chance of a rook making it was slim, but that is the way it always had been. Part of the reason is that rooks were overwhelmed by doubt. Vets constantly had to motivate these new guys. Motivation was endless and relentless. Because of this, a vet's attitude needed to be stellar at all times. It's like parenting. Parents have to show a good attitude all the time to get good results out of it. I think so, anyway. Some of the neg vets would say that all the territories had been pounded or saturated. They demanded new and different products, better vehicles, better partners, whatever. More recently, some of the vets were spreading some discouraging rumors about the condition and stability of the company and Jim's recent erratic behavior. In spite of this new crew of up and comers was cranking out some impressive numbers. Spencer and Teddy were crossing the Whitestone Bridge after a successful all-nighter of 50 sales. Fridays were becoming a ho-hum, no big deal, 24 hours of pitching, closing, sweating, and caffeine. Everything in the field was becoming routine. The money was good and steady. New guys were being trained and making money. Teddy was counting the money and going over the consignment sheet to get ready to settle up as the team sped along the Cross Bronx Expressway. It never dawned on any of the guys that there wasn't one incident of arguments or accusations regarding the cash. The cash from the field was simply untouchable. There was never an argument about who carried the money, and none of it ever went missing. There were those few all-nighters when Timmy and Monte hit the mafia-run blackjack spots on the east side and lost money earmarked for settling up, but they both did it willingly together. Teddy said, I don't think any damage has been done yet, but we got to stop these rumors about Jim's other offices not succeeding. Sean and Brian were talking about it this morning in the warehouse in front of the Rooks. A lot of guys are blowing out and going independent. They also talk about sales being down at the Lodi office from last summer. I told them that's ancient history and it doesn't concern us, but I also pulled them into the manager's office and told them to shut up in front of my trainees and Rooks. For the past couple of weeks, some of the other negative fleas in the office have been talking about Kenny's office not working out in Westchester. They're talking about Kenny maybe not making it in Westchester and possibly moving back into the Lodi office, which means you and Cuddy gotta wait longer for your promotion. Then where does that leave us? Clay and Lee and all. Whenever it was brought up to Spencer, he had the same response as he did with anything neg. Hitter, I know you're solid, and here's what I told Sean and Brian this morning. I told them, Spencer said, puffing out his chest real big with exaggerated confidence. I don't need to hear that negativity, man. Read my lips. I'm gonna be a millionaire. I'm gonna be a millionaire. I told him, you guys can sit around here like some old ladies negging each other out. Forget about it. If Kenny isn't able to hang in his own deal, it's not my problem. I know Kenny's a hitter, but I don't know what's going on with him. Do you? Do either of you even talk to him? Didn't think so. Kenny is the most positive dude in the place, but I can't worry about his deal, about his office. Maybe he spent his money. Maybe he's a bad manager. Maybe he ain't cut out for it. What do I know? It's not my problem. Teddy laughed and went back to finishing counting the money. He said, we collected a total of $1,377. We spent $33 for food and no doughs, $20 for gas, and $8 for tolls. So we have $1,316 right now in cash. We need to settle up with Rose for $1,102. That leaves $214 for us to split. We qualified for the $250 in bonuses, and we'll get at least $200 in the card game. We come out with over $325 each. Here's your 107. Teddy handed Spencer a $100 bill and 7 singles. Not bad, but remember we both hit our weekly quota early again, which means we qualify for our override checks and we keep our levels on the board. Spencer said, cash is nice, but your position on the board is the priority. That's what determines your promotion. You don't want to be moving merch when you're 25. Yeah, Spence, I know that. Come on, man. I ain't no goddamned rookie. Hey, pull over at the bodega before we get onto the bridge. Spencer continued his speech. Then Sean brought up Gino. He shouldn't have got me started. Gino's in Connecticut. That's like 500 miles away. I went out there for a week to help Monahan when he opened his deal back in September and got maced by one of those Arabs or whatever the hell he was. I ran through 7 backyards, blind, running into walls and parked cars, looking for a hose to drown my face in. Yeah, I remember hearing that. That was hilarious. You getting maced and run around screaming like a twist running into fences and telephone poles and whatnot. Teddy said, laughing enthusiastically. You had that coming, though. Didn't you crack wise to some neg mechanic calling his mom a greasy ape? Hilarious. He tracked you down and messed you up, man. That was a bonehead move. That was a patented Frankie play. Awesome. They got you good. Very funny. Never mind that. That's not my point, Hitter. The people are either criminals or stuck up, and the cops are always hassling you for not having a sales permit. I hate Connecticut. If he chose Connecticut, then that's his business. Just because we don't talk to him or see him around here, don't think he ain't making it. He's busy. He comes home, and I don't think Connecticut's 500 miles away from New York or New Jersey. I don't think so. I'm not sure. He's busy. He comes home on the weekends to see his girlfriend who has him so whipped he doesn't even call or see Jim. That's right, added Teddy. She's such a cold-hearted twist. She doesn't allow him around any of us. How can a guy let that happen? I mean, she's a hot potato, but it's not worth it. Not only that, do you know that when he opened his office last month, the first car he bought was a Chevy Monza? You can't drive a Monza and motivate your guys. Think about it. When he pitches the rooks on why they should work 12 hours a day for less than minimum wage in the beginning, he can say, yeah, but look at all my stuff. Look at all the success I have. A 1-bedroom apartment in Easton, somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and a plastic Monza. Give me a goddamned break. Oh, yeah, that'll work, Teddy. That's the ticket. You know, Joe Graziano has 8 cars, man. A turbo Porsche, a Vet, a Mercedes S-Class, and a bunch of others, and a 7-bedroom house out in Montclair. What the hell is Gino doing buying a Monza? He might as well be saying, I really don't think I can make it at this business, so I'm buying a car that I can make the payments on, even if I become a minimum wage idiot. Ha! You're a funny guy, said Ted, laughing and coughing. His stuck-up girlfriend talked him into all that cockroach thinking. Exactly, Theodore. I'm going to worry about Gino and Mrs. Gino. Really? I have my own problems. I told Sean, hey, I respect Gino. Don't get me wrong. He retrained a lot of the guys around here. He retrained me too in the beginning. But let me ask you this. Do you think he sits around some dirty warehouse worrying about our stuff? He doesn't and never did. I told those warehouse mooks what's up, Teddy. You know I did. Ha! Teddy smiled. I told Sean, Gino and Kenny had the record before Crazy Timmy and me broke it. But let me tell you something. Those guys don't make you. You make you. You're snickering? You got attitude with me? Know your place, boys. Look at the board. Look who's next in line to run their own deal. Cuddy, then me, losers. When you start making the money, you got to start showing the money. This is no time to be cheap and scared you can't afford the payments. That's what I told him, Teddy. I ain't full of myself. I proved myself every day, man. I got 3 trophies. How many you got, fellas? I thought so. Just load up my car, man. Tell me where to sign. Take some advice from me. Man, if you want to get out of this warehouse, focus on your goals, man. You want to run a deal, or are you just here killing time? One step at a time, one pitch at a time. Every time you get out of your car, you're one step closer to your deal. If you're focused and you keep your attitude right. Yeah, I told him, Teddy. I know that sales were higher last summer, but we still had Kenny and Monahan and Gino at their peak. The office was making 40,000 a week back then. Now We're at about 25. That's actually good with our top 3 guys from back then now running their own deals. Teddy, understand I said it with a great attitude, smiling and laughing, but I meant it. There's no room for modesty if you're going to make it, man. You know what I'm saying. Teddy laughed again. You're a crazy young punk, but it's the only way. Just don't let those guys get you down. You're lecturing a lot these days. I mean, don't get me wrong, they need it. Just seems like a lot. You got a lot of responsibility for a young dude. What do I know? Spencer said. Juice, get fired up. They pulled off the Cross Bronx Expressway and stopped at a bodega in Dominican territory just before the George Washington Bridge. Teddy brought back 2 Cokes and 2 bags of Doritos. They each cracked a soda and toasted. Teddy popped in a dead tape and turned it up loud. Deadheads. Uh, all the right things had been coming out of his mouth in response to the negative tide that was looming. Spencer would never reveal his concerns. Jim had been coming into the office less and less over the last couple of weeks. The rumors that some of the offices had been struggling to keep their doors open were starting to bother him. Monahan, Kenny, and Gino, 3 guys that Spencer had worked with in the field, had been promoted into their own offices and were obviously struggling. In the past, when an office had a weak production, Jim would send a team to that office to retrain the guys and get sales going. He was on top of it. It seemed that Jim was out every night, not just the weekends. He also had started treating people more and more harshly, even Rose, even Spencer. So we don't know what's going on with Jim yet, but we will find out next week on the Dirt Merchants Sundays. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Old Kinderhug.